Good noon everyone, welcome back to your beloved Drawback Chess Speedrun series. As usual, today we are climbing from 4700 to 4800 rating points. And without any further ado, let's get into today's content. First game was played at 4630. Leaps and bounds, you can't move a piece adjacent to where it was. Absolutely diabolical. Reveal drawback to opponent. d4. d5. So far so good. Knight f3. Okay, since my pawns can only move one time and also cannot capture, they can only be used as punching bags. He doesn't even take it. I can't take that bishop due to my drawback. Knight c6. Knight takes e5. Okay, that is actually pretty dangerous because there is knight takes f7. My king cannot even move due to the drawback. I have to take that knight. This is really bad though, the knights are pretty much exempted from the rules. But I already lost one of them. Knight h6. Bishop takes g7 is really bad here because I cannot do melee combat. My god, this is so annoying. He takes on c7 instead. Queen f6. Knight c3. Bishop b4. It is actually really good he didn't see bishop g7 though. Maybe I can trade this bishop off. a3. Bishop d6. He doesn't take. Okay, but I cannot take his bishop that is next to me though. Bishop f4. e3. Now I have to take. Knight takes c7 check. My king can't even move. Castle. Knight takes a8. Knight g4. Maybe he'll prioritize bringing his knight back to safety and forget about his king. Okay, never mind. Bishop takes a free woman. A resignation would be very convenient. f3. Bishop back. Castle. Now I can take the knight. c4. Rook c8. c5. It is actually crazy that I don't even see a way to make progress here. Even bishop a4 is getting b3 and I'll have to retreat because there is no melee capture. b5. Who knows, maybe this guy is one of those on Passant worshippers. He is. Okay, this is a really weird game. What kind of drawback can it possibly be that can force him to hang his own king like this anyway? Rook takes c1. First game is a win. Your opponent's drawback was Barbarian Rage. If you captured on your last move, you must capture if able. This has absolutely no connection to that final king blunder. On Passant is physically forced. Second game, let's go. Relay race. If you can move a piece that's adjacent to the destination of your last move, you must. This is not the first time I've gotten this drawback, and even though the previous times didn't went too well, at least we have the experience. I've played these games before. Reveal drawback to opponent. My opponent counter-revealed. Separation of church and state. You can't move your bishops next to a king, and you can't move your king next to a bishop. That sounds like barely an inconvenience. e5. f4. The utmost famous king's gambit. Of course I'll accept it. As long as my moves do not touch any other pieces that can trigger the drawback, everything is absolutely under control. Knight f3. Aha. Now g5 is the next book move, but g5 makes my g-pawn touches the f4 pawn, so if he decides to sacrifice his knight, I will have to push f3 instead of capturing his knight. So I guess, bishop c5 instead. Provoking d4, opening up his king. I mean, at the end of the day his drawback only relates to bishops and kings. Developing my bishop while also opening up his king can potentially be very potential. Bishop c4 instead. d6. And it seems I accidentally activated the drawback. Bishop d4. Okay, you know what? It's actually fine. He cannot take with the bishop due to his drawback, and if he takes with the knight, I can go queen h4 check, and there are a lot of ways for my queen and bishop to cook and attack at his king. I am dead. And after spending quite some time thinking about my available options, g6. My g-pawn touches the two neighboring pawns, but there is a chance he's gonna take my g-pawn, which allows me to capture his queen with those exact neighboring pawns. Didn't happen. F-pawn move is forced. And the touching chain continues. Queen g7. F3. Well, at least there is no more touching now. Queen f7, checkmate. Resignation. That was so obnoxiously annoying, I never want to play with that drawback again. Third game, let's go. No shuffling, your rooks can't move sideways. Ha! Barely an inconvenience. Reveal drawback to opponent. e4. My opponent counter revealed, Shadow Queen, your queen can only move to dark squares. Ha! That also sounds like barely an inconvenience. I suppose this is just a normal chess game. e5. Bishop knight pawn bishop. h4. Since my rooks cannot go sideways, I'll try to open the file for them. c6. Bishop g5. d5. Aha! That blunders a pawn. E takes d5. C takes d5. Bishop takes d5. His queen cannot take my bishop on a light square. So the only question is, does he want to sacrifice his weakened queen for my two bishops? He doesn't. Okay, this is actually quite scary, but I believe it's actually not that dangerous. I'll choose to defend the rook. Come at me, baby. Bishop takes f2 check. King f1. He can take the knight though. There's nothing I can do about that. Knight g4. Queen f3. f6. Queen d5. My queen is getting in there. And he is inviting me in. Absolutely diabolical. Queen f7 check. This game is just absolutely crazy. H takes g5. Opening up my h-file rook. Now he takes the knight. Rook takes h7. Rook takes h7. Queen g8 check. King c7. Queen takes h7. Queen f2, checkmate in 1. Queen takes g7 counter check. Ha! As long as my king is on a light square, his queen is just another dark square bishop. Knight d7. Aha! Finally. And with that, my ultimate goal of making my opponent block his own light square bishop has been met. I can now slowly improve my position. Queen f7. Leaving the way open for my g-pawn to promote in the near future. Knight e3 double checkmate in 1. King e2. Knight back to g4. Knight c3. b6. Aha! He wants to develop his light bishop. I'll move my bishop there first. Rook b8. That just takes away a king's safe square. Queen e7. Threatening knight b5 checkmate in 1. Bishop b7. Knight b5 king c8 queen e8. Checkmate in 2. 2 wins and 1 loss. Drawback chess speed run today. 100% win rate.